They laughed when his mistress tore my dress at the gala. His mother called me barren trash. His sister spit on my shoes. But none of them knew I owned the ground they stood on. By sunrise, I didn't just destroy them. I erased their entire bloodline from society. Before we start, hit that subscribe button because this revenge is so brutal, so calculated. You'll need to watch it twice to catch everything. Drop a comment if you've ever been underestimated. Now let me tell you how I made them all disappear. My name is Jasmine, and for 8 years I lived in hell disguised as marriage. When I married Sebastian, I thought I was choosing love. I was a simple art teacher, painting in a small studio downtown, living paycheck to paycheck. He was charming, successful, a rising real estate developer with big dreams and bigger promises. He said he loved my simplicity, my kindness, the way I saw beauty in ordinary things. I believed him. God, I was so stupid to believe him. What Sebastian didn't know, what nobody knew, was that 6 months before our wedding, my grandfather passed away. He was a brilliant investor, a silent billionaire who built an empire from nothing. When he died, he left everything to me. $2.8 billion, an investment portfolio that included hotels, office buildings, banks, real estate across 12 states. But his will came with one condition. I had to keep it secret for 10 years. He wanted me to know if the man I married loved me or loved money. He wanted me to understand true character before I revealed true wealth, so I stayed quiet. I continued teaching, I lived modestly, and I watched the man I married transform into a monster. Sebastian's mother, Patricia, moved in with us 6 months after the wedding. From day one, she hated me. I wasn't good enough for her precious son. I came from nothing, had no family money, no connections. She made sure I knew it every single day. She'd leave her dishes in the sink for me to clean, throw her clothes on my side of the bedroom floor, call me into the living room just to criticize how I folded her towels. When I came home from teaching, exhausted from managing rowdy teenagers all day, she'd hand me a list of chores. Cook this, clean that, iron Sebastian's shirts, scrub the bathroom. I was a wife, but she treated me like hired help. And Sebastian? He let her. His sister Monica was worse. She'd come over 3 times a week, raid my closet, steal my jewelry, and when I confronted her, she'd laugh in my face. Once she took a necklace my mother gave me before she died. My mother, who I lost to cancer when I was 19. That necklace was all I had left. When I begged Monica to return it, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "What are you going to do about it? You're nothing. You have nothing. Be grateful my brother keeps you around." But the real torture started 3 years into our marriage. I got pregnant. For 12 beautiful weeks, I carried a baby, our baby. I thought maybe this would change things, soften them, make us a real family. Then one night, after Patricia screamed at me for overcooking her roast, after Sebastian sided with her and called me useless in front of dinner guests, I felt the cramping start. By morning, I'd lost the baby. The doctor said it was stress. My body couldn't handle it. I was devastated, broken, hollow. And do you know what Patricia said when I came home from the hospital? She said, "Good. God knows that child didn't deserve a mother like you anyway." After that, I couldn't get pregnant again. The doctors said my body was physically capable, but something was blocking it. Trauma, they called it. Psychological barriers. My mind was protecting me from bringing a child into that nightmare. Patricia called me barren. She said it at breakfast, at dinner, to her friends on the phone while I stood right there. Sebastian started saying I was broken, damaged, that he deserved better. They'd have conversations right in front of me about finding Sebastian a second wife, someone fertile, someone worthy. I wasn't a person to them anymore. I was a defective appliance they were stuck with. I could have left. I should have left. But my grandfather's 10-year condition wasn't up yet, and some dark part of me wanted to see just how low they would go. I wanted to collect every insult, every cruelty, every moment of abuse like evidence, because I knew that when those 10 years ended, when I could finally reveal who I really was, I wanted the revenge to match the pain. Then Natasha entered our lives. Monica brought her to a family dinner. Natasha was stunning, I'll give her that. Tall, polished, expensive taste, working as a high-end real estate agent. She looked at me like I was furniture. Patricia loved her immediately. Within weeks, I knew Sebastian was sleeping with her. I'd find long red hairs in our bed, smell unfamiliar perfume on his clothes, notice charges to hotels on credit card statements. When I confronted him, he didn't even deny it. He said, "At least she can give me what you can't." Natasha started coming to the house. She'd sit in my living room, drink my coffee, laugh at Patricia's jokes about my inadequacy. The affair wasn't hidden. It was flaunted. They wanted me to see it, to feel small, to break. But I didn't break. I made a phone call. You see, my grandfather's legal team had been managing my assets for years, waiting for my signal. I called them and said 2 words. "I'm ready." Within 48 hours, I had full access to everything. Every account, every property, every share, every investment. I started studying their lives like a scientist examining bacteria under a microscope. I hired the best private investigator money could buy. I told him to find everything on Sebastian, Patricia, Monica, and Natasha. Not just the affair, everything. And what he found was so much worse than I imagined. Sebastian wasn't the successful developer he pretended to be. His company was hemorrhaging money. He'd been cooking the books, embezzling from his own investors, taking loans from dangerous people. He owed $500,000 to loan sharks. Even darker, I found documents showing he'd taken out a $2 million life insurance policy on me. My investigator found text messages between Sebastian and Natasha discussing how tragic it would be if I had an accident. They were planning to kill me. Patricia had a gambling addiction. For years, she'd been stealing from my teacher's salary, forging checks, racking up debt in my name. The medical bills she claimed to have? Fake. She'd been scamming me, and the money went straight to underground poker games. Monica was a drug addict. Pills, powder, anything she could get. My mother's necklace. She'd sold it for $300 to buy pills. The investigator had video footage of the transaction. And Natasha? She had a boyfriend, a criminal named Jake, with a record for armed robbery and assault. The plan was simple. Natasha would marry Sebastian, help him kill me, take the insurance money and whatever they could steal from what they thought were Sebastian's accounts. Then Natasha and Jake would kill Sebastian and disappear with everything. They weren't just cruel. They were murderers in waiting. I had all the evidence: audio recordings, video footage, financial documents, text messages, emails, everything documented, time-stamped, verified. And I realized something beautiful. I didn't just want revenge, I wanted complete annihilation. The charity gala was in 2 weeks. The Grand Royale Hotel, 500 guests, the city's elite. I owned that hotel through one of my shell corporations, but nobody knew that Sebastian insisted we attend. He said it was important for his image. What he really wanted was to parade Natasha in front of everyone, while I stood there in humiliation. I bought a simple, cream-colored dress. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. I looked like exactly what they thought I was. A poor, plain schoolteacher desperately clinging to a man above her station. The night of the gala, I dressed carefully. I did my makeup softly. I wore the cheap shoes Monica had once spit on. I looked in the mirror and smiled. This was the last time anyone would underestimate me. When we arrived at the Grand Royale, Sebastian was nervous. He kept checking his phone, adjusting his tie. Then I saw why. Natasha was there, wearing a blood-red gown that probably cost more than my annual teaching salary, dripping in diamonds. She wasn't hiding. She walked straight up to us, looped her arm through Sebastian's, and smiled at me like a shark smiling at prey. Patricia and Monica arrived right behind her. They'd coordinated this. This was a planned ambush. Patricia loudly announced to a nearby group of guests, "This is Sebastian's future wife, Natasha. That's just the old model we're phasing out." People turned to stare. Some looked uncomfortable, others laughed. Monica leaned close to me and whispered, "You should leave before you embarrass yourself more." But Natasha, she went for the kill. She looked at my cream dress and laughed so loudly that half the ballroom turned to look. "Sebastian, darling," she said, voice dripping with fake sweetness, Is this really what you settled for? I've seen better fabric on clearance racks." The guests around us gasped. Some giggled nervously. I stood there, silent, calm. Then Natasha picked up a glass of red wine from a passing waiter's tray. She held it up, tilted her head, and said, "Oops." She poured the entire glass down the front of my dress. The red wine soaked into the cream fabric. Spreading like blood, Monica cackled. "Oh no, that rag needed color anyway." I looked down at my ruined dress. I looked up at Natasha, and I smiled. That smile made her uncomfortable. Good. Then she did something I didn't expect. She grabbed the neckline of my dress and ripped it. The fabric tore, exposing my shoulder, the sound echoing in the suddenly quiet ballroom. "Let me help you out of this poverty costume," she hissed. The crowd went silent. Absolutely silent. Sebastian stood there, smirking. Patricia nodded approvingly. Monica had her phone out, recording, laughing. Security started moving toward us. My security. The men I paid. But they didn't know I was their boss, yet I held up one hand, stopping them. I looked at Natasha, at Sebastian, at Patricia, at Monica. I looked at all of them with their triumphant, cruel faces, and I said very quietly, just loud enough for them to hear, "Enjoy this. It's the last happy moment you'll ever have." Then I turned and walked out of that ballroom with my head high, my dress torn and stained, and my heart absolutely singing with anticipation. As I reached my car, I sent a text message to my legal team. "Execute protocol destruction, all of them, starting now." By 9 the next morning, the world started ending for the family that destroyed me. Sebastian received an eviction notice. The building where his office was located? I owned it. He had 24 hours to remove his belongings. His assistant called him in a panic. The company bank accounts were frozen. The FBI was investigating fraud allegations. Someone had submitted a detailed report with evidence of embezzlement, falsified documents, investor fraud. Sebastian's phone started ringing non-stop. Investors, partners, loan sharks, all demanding answers. At 10 in the morning, Patricia tried to use her credit card at her favorite restaurant, declined. She tried another. Declined. All 5 of her cards. Declined. She called the credit company, screaming. They informed her that her accounts had been closed due to fraud investigation. Someone had reported forged checks, identity theft, illegal use of another person's finances. The police would be contacting her shortly. At 11, Monica was in her condo when police knocked on her door. They had a warrant. They found drugs. Her dealer had been arrested an hour earlier and gave up all his clients in exchange for a lighter sentence. Monica was arrested on the spot. But here's the beautiful part. I owned her condo too. So while she was being handcuffed, she also received an eviction notice. At noon, Natasha's real estate license was suspended. Multiple fraud complaints had been filed. Properties she claimed to represent weren't actually listed with her. She'd been forging documents, lying to clients. Her boss fired her immediately. Then immigration called. Her work visa had irregularities. She had 48 hours to leave the country or face deportation and criminal charges. By 1 in the afternoon, Sebastian came home. Our home. Except it wasn't his home. It was mine. I was sitting in the living room with my lawyer when he burst through the door, red-faced, furious, demanding to know what was happening. I let him scream. I let him rant. I let him call me every name he could think of. Then, when he finally ran out of breath, I said, "Sit down, Sebastian." Something in my voice made him obey. "Let me introduce myself properly," I said. "My name is Jasmine Morrison. I am the sole heir to Morrison Global Investments. My net worth is $2.8 billion. I own this house. I own your office building. I own the bank that holds your business loans. I own the credit company that issued Patricia's cards. I own the building where Monica lives. I own the hotel where the gala was held last night. I own 40% of this city, Sebastian. And you never knew." His face went white. Actually white. Like all the blood drained out of it. My lawyer opened a folder and began laying out documents. Video footage of Sebastian and Natasha discussing my murder, audio recordings of them planning how to stage it as an accident, text messages about the life insurance policy, financial records showing embezzlement, police reports being filed, fraud charges, conspiracy to commit murder charges. "You were going to kill me," I said softly. "For $2 million, do you know how insulting that is? I'm worth billions, and you were going to kill me for $2 million. Sebastian tried to speak. No words came out. Patricia and Monica arrived then, both hysterical. Patricia had been kicked out of her apartment. Monica had made bail but had nowhere to go. They saw me sitting there, saw the lawyer, saw the documents, and they finally understood. The best part? Watching Patricia's face when I showed her the receipt, my mother's necklace. I'd tracked it down, bought it back from the pawn shop. It cost me $40,000 to recover a necklace Monica sold for $300. I held it up, let the light catch it, and said, "I'm keeping this. You'll never touch it again." Monica lunged at me. Security stopped her. My security. The men who now knew exactly who signed their paychecks. I turned to Patricia. "Those grandchildren you wanted so badly? I'm donating $50 million to fertility clinics across the country. In my name. Every woman who gets help will see my face, my story, my success. You'll be forgotten. I'll be celebrated." Then I looked at Sebastian. "That life insurance policy you took out on me? I had my lawyers find a loophole. I'm the beneficiary now. So if anything happens to you, Sebastian, I get $2 million. Sleep well." The police arrived 10 minutes later. They arrested Sebastian for fraud and conspiracy to commit murder. They took him away in handcuffs while Patricia wailed and Monica screamed. Natasha was arrested at the airport trying to flee. Her boyfriend Jake had already been picked up and, facing serious charges, told the police everything, every detail of their plan, how they were going to do it, when, where, all of it recorded, documented, prosecuted. The trial was a media circus. I testified calmly, showed the torn dress as evidence of their cruelty, their contempt, their absolute certainty that I was nothing. The jury deliberated for 40 minutes. Sebastian got 15 years for fraud and conspiracy. Natasha was deported with a criminal record. Monica got probation and mandatory rehab, but I made sure it was a facility I funded so I could control every aspect of her recovery. Patricia tried to kill herself when she realized she'd lost everything. She failed, ended up institutionalized, and I made sure she got the minimum care required by law, but I wasn't done. I bought the prison where Sebastian was sent. I improved conditions for every inmate except those in his block. I made sure his life was legally miserable. His cellmate? Someone carefully selected, someone who owed me a favor. Every day Sebastian spent there, he knew who put him there. He knew who controlled even his suffering. 3 months after the trial, my adoption application was approved. I'd started the process a year earlier, knowing I'd need something beautiful to rise from all this ugliness. I adopted a baby girl. Perfect, healthy, beautiful. I named her after my mother. I sent a photo to Patricia in the institution. Just the photo, and a note. "I'm a mother now. Thank you for the motivation." She saw it on the common room television when the story went viral. Billionaire abuse survivor adopts, starts foundation for domestic violence victims. Patricia had a complete breakdown. She never recovered. 5 years have passed now. My daughter is 5 years old, happy, brilliant, kind, everything her father isn't. Sebastian still has 10 years left in prison. I visit him once a year. I don't say anything. I just sit across from him in my beautiful clothes, show him pictures of our daughter he'll never meet, and smile. Then I leave. He has no other visitors. No one else cares. No one else remembers. Monica lives in an apartment I own. She's clean now, working a minimum wage job, paying rent to the woman she once spit on every month. When she writes that check, she remembers. Natasha never came back to this country. Last I heard, she was waiting tables somewhere in Eastern Europe. Patricia died alone in that institution 2 years ago. Natural causes. No one came to her funeral except the state-appointed chaplain. I didn't destroy them once I destroyed them forever. I erased them from society, from memory, from significance. They are nothing now. Less than nothing. Footnotes in my success story. People ask me if I feel guilty, if I went too far, if revenge was worth it. I look at my daughter, playing in the home I built, surrounded by love and safety and possibility, I look at the foundation I created that's helped thousands of abuse survivors escape and rebuild. I look at my life, full and rich and free, and I say, they laughed at my dress. I took their world. Never mistake silence for weakness. Never mistake patience for acceptance. Never underestimate the quiet woman in the simple dress. I am not the woman they broke. I am the woman they created, and she is merciless. That's not revenge. That's warfare. If this story gave you chills, destroy that like button the way Jasmine destroyed her enemies. Comment justice if you think they got what they deserved. Subscribe because next week's story is even more brutal. A husband who faked his death learns his wife moved on to his billionaire brother. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Remember, some people don't deserve forgiveness. They deserve consequences. I'm Jasmine, and karma is my middle name.